All right, so joining us in our first segment here in the 8 o'clock hour, really excited to have this voice on. And you hear him a lot during the Moon Griffon show, but we get a chance to speak with him here on Acadiana's Morning News. U.S. Congressman Mike Johnson joining us. Sir, thank you so much for taking the time.
Hey, thanks, Brandon. Bernie, good to talk to you all.
Yeah, we're so thankful for the chance to get to talk to you this morning.
So let's talk about the border. Let's start there, Congressman. What are the latest insights from there? You know, Secretary Mayorkas claims that, quote, the border is secure. And I think anybody that, I can't even hardly say that with a straight face.
It's hard to believe that he does.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to be frank and tell you that I think he is committed impeachable offenses by the day now.
Oh, wow.
And you know, he came before our House Judiciary Committee just a couple of months ago, and I told him in a little video clip that went viral that he needed to dust off his resume because we're going to have the majority back in November, and we have a responsibility to get this madness under control. And this guy is doing this stuff intentionally. So we'll see what happens with all that. But, the numbers are staggering. And I did town halls all over my district. I have 15 parishes that runs from north, the Arkansas border, northwest Louisiana, all the way down into part of Cajun country there, just north of where you guys are. Yep. And whatever parish I go to, everybody has the same three concerns. You summarize it all in three I's. I call it the three I's. And it is inflation, immigration, and incompetence, right? That's the problems they have with Washington right now for the obvious reasons. But since Joe Biden became president, y'all, over 3.1 million illegal immigrants have been apprehended at the southern border. Now, that's the apprehended number. Yeah. That doesn't even count. Probably close to 1 million of the gotaways who just evaded capture entirely. And it's just completely out of control. These open border policies, mass releases, zero enforcement, it has created the worst border crisis in our history, and it is a direct a challenge to our safety and security and our sovereignty as a country.
And you say they've been apprehended, but what happens when they do get apprehended?
Oh, yeah. All that means is they get processed, really.
Yeah.
This isn't fake handcuffs like AOC on the steps of the Supreme Court. Yeah. They don't even use fake handcuffs, right? What they do is they give them everything they need, health care. They give them a little bit of money. Oftentimes they get a cell phone, a tracking device, some of them. But they're processed and they're sent throughout the country. And so we're getting busloads of illegal immigrants dropped off in cities all around Louisiana and all around the country routinely. Well, we're paying for that, of course, the American taxpayers, and it's not a sustainable situation.
And you talked about that on the bus loads, and Dan Bongino, which you can listen to here on KPEL from noon to 3 p.m. Monday through Fridays. He was talking about that yesterday, how you had a couple of the liberal mayors, one of them being, Mayor Bowser in Washington, D.C., and I can't remember the other mayor, but New York's mayor, was coming out and complaining.
Eric Adams, yeah.
There you go, coming out and complaining about the immigrants that were being, quote unquote, tricked and sent over to their cities. And these are people that are a part of a party that has been very obviously sympathetic to all of these immigrants coming over illegally. And they're okay with it whenever the illegal immigrants are, on the border states like Texas and here in Louisiana. But then when the illegal immigrants are sent up north to their areas, all of a sudden now they're complaining and they're upset.
That's right, because Governor Abbott in Texas is the one paying for those bus trips now to send them into the blue districts, and that's a key, Brandon. They have been doing that. They've been sending the bus loads. My theory is, and we have no way to access the numbers. They won't tell us exactly where and how often and how the locations are chosen. But our theory is they're sending them into our red congressional districts, Republican areas, okay? And now that they're being sent into these big blue cities, the mayors are panicking, right? And Eric Adams in New York, as you said, he said this is a, quote, a real burden on New Yorkers, food, clothing, school. He said, this is going to impact our schools. There's just a whole host of things that this is going to produce, unquote. They can't handle it. Mayor Bowser in D.C. said, well, our city is overwhelmed. Well, welcome to the crisis, folks.
Yeah.
We've been ringing these alarms for almost 2 years now, because this began, of course, as soon as the Biden administration took over. It is intentional, and it is unconscionable, and it is not sustainable. And we have to have the rule of law. There is a reason that everybody in the world wants to come to our country. We're the greatest nation in the world, but we cannot sustain that. We can't be the great benevolent country that we are if we can't maintain our border. You have to have a border, or you don't have a country. I mean, it's really simple, and anybody can acknowledge this. And by the way, there's also another little viral video on my social media. Anybody can watch all this. Rep. Mike Johnson, right? So we were in a Judiciary Committee hearing about 2 weeks ago, and I got the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, Jerry Nadler of New York, to admit that their objective here, okay, is that they want to turn the illegals into voters. There it is. He said it. He admitted it in a colloquy that he and I had, and we sent that out immediately, and it went everywhere, because we've known all along that was the objective, but now they're saying the quiet parts out loud.
Jerry Nadler, he is, I know this is kind of off topic, but since you brought him up, he's kind of an odd fella. I'm just going to be honest.
I love you, Brandon.
He's an odd guy, and he just doesn't seem like someone that gets along with much of anybody.
You know, personally, these are not bad people, but what I object to, Brandon, is their crazy, crazy policies, okay? We have the greatest country in the world for a reason. It's not by happenstance. It's because we're built on certain foundational principles: individual freedom, limited government, the rule of law, peace through strength, fiscal responsibility, free markets, human dignity, the sanctity of life. But all those values that made us who we are, the left now and the leaders of the Democrat Party hold those in disdain. They actually oppose the central premises and the foundational principles that made us the great nation. And they're working every day to dismantle those foundations and rebuild us to become some sort of European, socialist style government. We have to oppose that. And it's not personal. Look, the Bible tells us we love everybody, right? Yep. I do. But it also tells us that we are supposed to demolish false arguments that set themselves up against the truth. And that's what we got here. And not to over-spiritualize this, but this is a battle for the future of the country and for the future of what is good and right and for human flourishing of all people, regardless of who they are. And that's why we fight.
So let me ask you this. Were you an original supporter, or were you a supporter of the wall?
Of course. Okay. It's just common sense. So, and you know what? It worked.
Right. And that's what I was kind of getting to, because I wanted to get to not just about how it worked, but where does it sit now after almost 2 years of the Biden administration?
I can tell you from my firsthand account. I've been down there in the Rio Grande Valley. Biden stopped, by executive order, stopped construction the day after he took office. By the way, we already paid for all the materials. I mean, you're talking about hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars of fencing that is laid in the dirt there, just rotting and rusting away. And they just stopped it. I went to where the wall actually was ceased, the construction, at 1 o'clock in the morning with a handful of my colleagues, and we just watched droves of illegals just walking across. It's an completely open border, and that's why when Mayorkas said this week, a couple of days ago, "Oh yeah, the border is secure." I mean, that is just, it's laughable. It's a joke. It would be funny if it wasn't so dangerous. Yeah. By the way, y'all, we've had scores of terrorists on the terrorist watch list come into the country. That's the ones we know about. And among those million who got through, without any detection at all, the gotaways, you can be assured that the dangerous people went that route, right? They didn't want to get caught by Border Patrol to be processed. They had other designs. So we have no idea who's in this country, where they are, what they're planning. And it's a really, really serious situation.
Yes, people need to pay attention without a doubt. My God, that's frightening.
So, Congressman Johnson, let's look ahead to the 2022 midterms. So if Republicans are able to overtake the House and the Senate like is expected, what can be done to help to reverse some of what's happening at the border? I know that Joe Biden is still the president. Democrats are still in control there. But what can be done from a congressional standpoint to help reverse what's been happening over the last year and a half?
Brother, we're going to start on day one. In my committee, Judiciary is the one that has jurisdiction over this. And so we've got plans already in the works to, by every measure possible, to push legislation to fix this mess. And we can. Now, here's the question. What is Joe Biden or Kamala, whomever is in the White House at that point, what are they going to do? Are they going to veto that legislation? I mean, we're going to dare them to, and that will set up a epic election for president in 2024. But we're going to do everything we can in that 2-year period. You know, we'll begin in January, the new Congress. It'll be Republican-led. The House, we're expected to have possibly the biggest majority in U.S. history. You know, knock on wood. I certainly hope that we get close to that projection. I believe that we're going to win a small majority in the Senate, by at least 1 or 2 seats. And so the Republicans will be in charge of the legislative branch again. And this is a long time coming, because right now we have unified government. Of course, we have the Democrats, the radical left, really in charge of the White House and both houses of Congress. And that's why the country is crumbling. That's why we have a crisis everywhere you look, because their policy White House does. And we'll fight them in court. We'll fight them every way we can, because this is about the survival of the republic, and you cannot overstate its importance.
So I got a little bit of a curveball for you as we close the segment out. We've been mentioning former President Trump often in this segment. So he said he's going to make an announcement before the midterms, you know, the election itself, about whether he's going to run or not. You're someone that served on his legal team. You fought for the former president. Do you think he's going to put his name into the hat to run again in 2024?
I think he certainly wants to, and my guess is he probably is going to do it before the midterms. I mean, I haven't talked to him in several weeks, but of course my advice would be, if he calls me, I'm going to say, Mr. President, please wait. Because, you know, we're working on a strategy and our messaging and all of that. And of course, if he throws his hat in now, that'll change the whole dynamic of the race, and everything will be about Trump, you know, and I'm not sure that's the best play, the best strategy for him or the Republican Party or the country. So, you know, I'm hoping he's patient in that
realm. Yeah,
he's known for a lot of good things, but I don't think he's known for his patience.
No, not so much. Not so much.
No.
You're right.
No. U.S. Congressman Mike Johnson has been our guest. Sir, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate the insights this morning.
Yeah, great to talk to you all. Keep up great work.